Hello, and welcome to Sports by Compion NFL Preseason Edition. My name, of course, is Stephen Compion, joined here by our resident Chicago Bears expert, the man who knows what's happening in the city of Chicago, football-wise at least. Brett returns to the pod to talk to us about his beloved Bears. Brett, how you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Wonderful, man. We're excited to have you back to talk about these Bears, to talk about the future. You know, what will happen year two of the Caleb Williams regime? What will happen year one of the Ben Johnson regime? Is there real coaching down in Chicago that people need to know? And we're excited that you're here to tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, very excited. Finally getting it going here. Football season's upon us, so best time of year, in my opinion. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's hop right on into it. We're going to start with the depth chart, as all good times do here on Sports by Compion, so we can really get to know who these guys are. Are they going to do the stuff to move this team forward? We've already talked a little bit about the Bears as we had Taylor Seitz over here to talk about his Packers. So we've discussed the Bears and numerous other podcasts around here. We're happy to get down to the brass knuckles of it. You know, you got Caleb Williams, of course, leading this whole thing. How are we feeling about him in year two? Are we taking the Keenan Allen comment seriously, or?
No, I don't think we are. I think that was a made-up comment, in my opinion. Pretty sure it was. But no, feeling good. Obviously, new coach, new systems, going to take a little bit, I think, for them to, get that cohesion as an offense.
Sure.
But, I think we got one of the best coaches that was in the cycle last year. So,
Sure.
I think Caleb still has all the talent in the world. So, I think it might take a little time. If it's a little slow start to the season, I know I'm sure a lot of Bear fans will freak out. I'm going to try to remain as patient as I can. But yeah, I mean, looking at this depth chart, the talent's there. I think the only question mark really on offense is their left tackle with Braxton Jones and the rookie they have. But everything else, they've improved their offensive line significantly, and they've gotten deeper in their tight end with their Colson Loveland and their receivers as well with the second-round pick from Missouri, Luther Burden. So not many question marks for me on the offense, except I'd say the left tackle and the defense. I know we haven't got there yet, but again,
as far as Rome, like you got to have him take that next big step, right? Like DJ Moore is receiver one, but you need Rome to really take that big step. That obviously not everyone's coming in firing off their rookie year at receiver, especially. But what do you think they need to see out of him, and is that who you're expecting to be the number two weapon?
Yeah. I mean, I think all reports, out of camp that I've read, I actually went to Bears camp a couple weeks ago, so I got to see it in person. Roman Dunze definitely looked impressive. I think I think he had a lot of people don't talk about his rookie season, but he ended with 750 yards.
Not bad at all.
Pretty good rookie season. I think he's definitely capable of that 1,000-yard season plus. And that's a good thing. I don't know if there's like a true dominant number one we have. Obviously DJ Moore has been number one. I think Rome is right there. And then I think Luther Burden can be, eventually that guy. And then, obviously the guy Zacchaeus for some depth. And, I know he's been impressive in camp so far too. So the good thing with, so many weapons is we don't need to have a guy that, go for, 1,500 yards. We could have a lot of guys that are right around that, 8, 9, 1,000-yard threshold for receivers and tight ends. But yeah, no, definitely.
I like your tight end situation a lot because Cole Kmet was already probably one of the better tight ends, or at least was always that guy who he's probably going to break out eventually. And now you got Loveland in there. Maybe that combination of running some more tight end double sets, it gives Caleb nice and easy targets over the middle.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you watch the Lions last couple of years. Ben Johnson definitely values a tight end. I think that's kind of why they picked the tight end so high this year's draft. I know a lot of Bears fans maybe were a little confused at the time of why they took a tight end. But I think if you look, at the time, how the draft kind of broke and the run that the tackles kind of went on right before the Bears picked, I think that tight end, I think they just went best player available. And, I think Levin was that guy. So, yeah, that's what I'm kind of really, really excited to see. And, with him and Kmet, I think Kmet's kind of, I wouldn't say he's on the chopping block, but I think, he knows he needs to have a better year. I think last year he had career lows in most of his catching categories, and obviously that's not all on him. But I think they're really going to value the tight end in this offense, especially for Caleb, who's still getting comfortable with the new offense. That's a nice security blanket, like you said, to have over the middle. So, yeah, overall, really excited about this offense. I think if it all clicks and they all stay healthy, this could be a top, optimistically, a top 10 offense in football. Obviously, the depth. I think it's there in some areas. In some areas, it's not. The offensive line. Obviously, if we have a couple injuries to kind of some of the veterans like Joe Tooney and Jonah Jackson, I think the offensive line depth could be a little questionable. But that's why they got all new coaches in there, and I know they have a new offensive line coach. So hopefully they're kind of prepared for that. If they lose a couple guys here and there, that those guys can just step in and it can be a flawless transition. So yeah, like I said, overall very excited about the offense, and I think Caleb
going into this defense. Oh, sorry, go ahead about Caleb Bullen.
Yeah, I think Caleb. I don't know what's a make or break year for him because this is his first year and his second year overall. First year, Ben Johnson, but I think if ever you were going to have a great year, it'd be with all these weapons. So yeah, I think he's got a very much improved offensive line. I mean, especially his interior with Jackson and Dahlman and Joe Tooney. I think obviously Tooney being a veteran, he is Super Bowl champion, and Jonah Jackson having a lot of years of experience, and that Dahlman was top center in free agency.
That's the thing with the quarterback. Keep him upright and let him make plays, or not, and at least you'll know. But you won't be able to blame the O-line that he was getting hit too much. Exactly. Now he's getting some time. So Ben Johnson's putting priority to the things that he knows. Got a bit of a good offense, it turns out.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, like I said, though, hoping for a good year, and hopefully Caleb can make the next jump and kind of have that rookie year that the guy from Washington had, Jay Daniels, hopefully in his second year. So that's the hope, and that's the wish I have for this year, I guess you could say. So
I think this has been Bears fans for a while. I think we had Mr. Evan Anderson on the pod a couple years ago, and he gave Bears fans a little bit of hope. This was back in the Justin Fields days, I believe. He's like, it could happen. You may know him, the Mr. Anderson himself there, Brett. He had some hope for the boys back in the day. Anyway, on to the defense. We got Montez Sweat probably leading the way. I mean, you guys are paying him enough, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think on the defense line, he's definitely the leader for sure. So,
who else are you excited about here? I mean, Edmonds is one of those guys who came over from the Bills, got very little press, but I think he did okay for you guys, right? Or how has he been faring so far?
Yeah, I think that he didn't have his greatest year, I don't think, last year. Statistically, I don't think that, a lot of the defense, I think they improved as the year went on. They had a couple games there where kind of got away from them. But no, overall, really excited. I think the linebacker core with, they re-signed TJ Edwards this year, and Edmonds has obviously been there now for a couple of years. And kind of that middle linebacker, and like I said, all reports I've seen out of camp is he's having a really good, strong camp, which obviously, I'm not sure how much weight that holds, but it's better to hear that he's having a good camp opposed to, a bad camp. So he's getting pointed out, obviously with pointed out and obviously sticking out for good reason. And TJ Edwards always been solid. Always been a big fan of him ever since, him being at Wisconsin in his college days. But no, as far as the defense, I think the best thing they have is secondary. I think their secondary is deep. Now they have their secondary coach, Al Harris, coming over from remember watching him as a Packer all those years. Now it's kind of funny to see him in a Bears shirt and coaching, the Bears DBs after all those years of being, a rival of the Packers. But Jalen Johnson hasn't practiced yet, I know, this season or this summer. Sounds like he's going to be ready, though, for the regular season, which is good. And then Tyreek Stevenson, obviously, everybody knows the story about him last year, the Washington game and things like that. And kind of after that, I think kind of went downhill for him. But everything I've seen from him, he's, hoping to have a big year, improve. He's kind of the one big question mark.
I need him to kind of bounce back too. He's kind of giving a bad name for Stevens everywhere, even if it is only Stevenson at the end. It's still exactly how that name is spelled, and it's not good. It's not a good look for the Stevens. Okay, so he needs to clean it up this coming year.
Yes, I agree. No, but really, that's the only question mark I really have in the secondary. Obviously, health, is always a thing, but as long as Johnson can get back healthy. Kyle Gordon just got a new extension. I think he's one of the better nickel corners in the league. And then their safeties with Byard as a veteran, and they got Brisker back now. I know he missed most of the year with a concussion, and seems like he's fully healthy. And like again, the guy I've read having a good camp. But the one guy I think that's going on the radar the most is Grady Jarrett. He got cut from the Falcons about 6 hours later, got signed by the Bears. I think got a 2 or 3 year deal. Obviously a veteran.
Oh, that is a good signing for sure. He's plagued the Buccaneers for years over with the Falcons.
Yeah, and
definitely on his down years, but
yeah. I think they got him, brought him in for that veteran presence inside to pair with Dexter. Dexter's going to his 3rd year. I think he had a really strong second year. He kind of made that jump, and I think they're kind of hoping to make that jump again. Dennis Allen, a lot of people, know the name. Obviously not a great head coach last few years, but I think a lot of
defensive coordinator.
Yeah, a lot of people forget, he was a defense coordinator when the Saints were going to all those NFC championship games with Drew Brees, and their defense was always a top 10 defense. So, yeah, I'm really, really excited about this defense. Obviously the Bears have always kind of been known as a defense team. Maybe transitioning a little bit to the offensive side with hiring, Ben Johnson, the best top offensive coordinator in, like last year's cycle with the coaches. But I think they got a really good, coaching staff on the defensive side, obviously, led by Dennis Allen. And, there's good depth there too, especially in the defensive line. Reading, right now, I think Hardy's a really good third stringer. Austin Booker had a really strong first preseason game to get 3 sacks. So, seeing those guys as second and third stringers is promising. But
the reinforcements.
Yeah, for sure. So, and Billings, he's just that massive guy in the middle there that got hurt most of last year, and he was done. I think midway through the season, they definitely missed him in the run game. So, getting all those guys back healthy, and hopefully get off to a strong start and be aggressive, and get the ball back to the offense as much as they can. So, really overall, really excited about this group.
Would be really nice. So we won't go too into depth here and go into every single game, but kind of give us a prognostics. Do you think this is going to be a playoff type of year? We're starting with 2 NFC North rivals, then the Cowboys in Vegas. It gets a little easier, then a bye week. What are we thinking?
Yeah, similar last year. I think they had their bye week in the same week last year. I think week 5, week 6. So not a huge fan of the early bye because, they obviously then after the bye have, I think, a run of, 13 straight games, which is, quite a gauntlet. But, definitely a tough schedule. When I saw I think they got I think they were last place in their division last year. I know they were actually because the Lions and Vikings and Packers were all playoff teams. So for a last place team in a division or a conference or a division, definitely a tough schedule. The AFC East is always tough. They got Pittsburgh and the Ravens and the Browns and the Bengals. And obviously, the Bengals and the Ravens have great quarterbacks, and the Browns seem to always have a good defense. They seem kind of there in a transition year. But, even the Cowboys, week 3, I think people are overlooking them. I think, because of the Michael Parsons thing with their new coach, I think they still have a ton of talent. They still have CeeDee Lamb, and they still have Ferguson, and, Dak Prescott's always going to be a solid quarterback. I don't know who's ever going to be great, but definitely a tough schedule. They'll be tested early with their 2
I can see them getting out 3-1 or 2-2 though.
Yeah, and that's the hope. So that's kind of
I can see that. And then head into the Commanders. That's not terrible. I don't think Daniels is overrated. I just think people are a little too excited about him. They're already trying to put him into the elite of the NFL. And it's it's his first season, guys. Let's all take a deep breath here.
Yeah, to be honest, last year they lost on a Hail Mary to them in the last play of the game, and before that they had held the Commanders to, I think, 12 points. I think it was 13-12. So or 15-12 maybe it was. But I think the Commanders roster as a whole, I think the Bears, are right there with them. And the Bears have only gotten better from last year when they, went play for play with them, obviously, into the last one. But no, I think it's feasible that they get into week 8 against Baltimore at, 5-1, 5-2. I think there's a lot of winnable games in that first 7 weeks. I think the Lions.
It really is. And then you got New Orleans, arguably the worst team in the NFL, and then bam, we hit into Baltimore, which will be tough.
Yeah,
Bengals will be tough. Then you got the break with the Giants again. I don't know, man. I could see you sneaking in. I could see them sneaking into the playoffs. Maybe there'll be 4 playoff teams from the NFC North.
Yeah, I think optimistically, I think I'm 10 wins.
Yeah.
I'd be happy, I think, with an 8 or 9 win season. Judging they had 5 last year, I think a 4 or 5 win improvement would be great.
Sure.
That second half of their year, they go to Philly, they go to
Ooh.
Baltimore, they go to
Gauntlet of Green Bay,
Cincinnati, and they get Green Bay at the end of the year 2 times in 3 weeks.
which is kind of their kryptonite. Good old Green Bay.
Yeah, and I think that Cleveland game right in between them could be maybe a tougher game.
A sneak one.
Said, yeah,
But you on the bright side, you are kind of getting to play just about every bad team in the NFL this year, or at least the ones that are kind of rebuilding and everything. You got Vegas, you got the Browns, you got the Giants, you got the Saints. I think it's even the Cowboys really are kind of a question mark. We'll see what happens with them, but
yeah, I think it's that's
I could see you guys going, like you said, an 8 or 9 for sure, maybe even a 10-6 season. It could happen.
Yeah, to your
10-7.
point. Yeah, to your point. Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely possible. But yeah, to your point, I think they definitely need to beat the the quote unquote bad teams because there's a lot of good teams too on their schedule. So
sure.
If they can beat, and I do like getting the Lions so early in the year. Obviously 2 new coordinators for them on both the offensive and defensive side. I think they're going to have a little, they still have a bunch of talent, but do I think they're going to win 15 games again? No. Do I think they're going to be close to that 10 win mark? Yes. They're still a good team, but with a new coordinator, they're going to go through the same growing pains the Bears are going through. Just have a new coordinator, so a new offensive scheme and offensive, play callers, defense play callers, and things like that. So, but yeah, I think in the bye, I'd be really happy with a 2-2, 3-1 record. I wouldn't be very happy with a 1-3 or 0-4. Saw a couple guys this week on Bears radio or Bears talk say, people are going to think the sky's falling if they start 0-4. But with a new offense, you always have to kind of look at that as a possibility. I don't think it'll be that bad. I think
I think that Chicago will go mad if they go 0-4.
Yeah, and I believe so too. So, I think their first game that Monday night is going to be a really good tell of where this offense is and how much growing it still needs to happen. And if they can be a competitive team, because Vikings have a great defense and a great team overall. I think McCarthy's their one big question mark there. And again, it's good getting we're gonna have a rookie quarterback in his first ever regular season game. I know we missed all last year, so not a rookie by NFL year terms, but a rookie by play terms. And
indeed, yeah, no, I didn't think about that. That's true. It's his very first game ever.
Yeah, so. I think that would be a big indication of kind of how the first month of the season will go for that bye is how they come out that Monday night against the Vikings. Don't love that they're on prime time the first week. Kind of hope wishing they were playing on Sunday. Kind of it's going to be a long Sunday having to watch all the other teams waiting for Monday night. But they're going to be able to show, I think, the football world what they're made of their first week being on prime time, and I'm definitely excited for that. So
cool. All right, man. Love to hear it. Brent, we've once again, we did it, man. We broke down what's going to happen with the Bears this year. It's a promising year. Everyone has excitement. Everyone has hope. That's why we love the preseason, Brent. This is why. Because everyone has a chance, dude. Everyone has a chance. And we're here for it. We appreciate you breaking down, what's going to happen, more or less, there in Chicago. With Sports by Company fans, we appreciate you guys liking and subscribing. Because this is the kind of cool-ass content you're going to get. You're going to get these dudes who know about their team coming on and breaking it down for you guys. So get excited about that. Do you have any parting words for the fine people at Sports by Company?
Best time of year.
It really is.
Football season always goes quick, so I try to enjoy it as much as I can. So, I know college is coming up too, and I think like a week and a half. So, just really excited. Obviously, a lot of optimism coming in this year for my team specifically, but. Hopefully they can make that jump and shut some of these Packer fans up that, seems like Caleb Williams get a lot of hate lately. So hopefully he can shut a lot of these haters up and have a really good second year. And him and Ben.
Oh, yeah. He definitely does have some haters. It would be funny to see them actually have to be alarmed about the Bears game every year. It seems like Packers fans relish it a little bit too much. I wouldn't mind seeing that rivalry flip a little bit too.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Just for rivalry's sake.
Yes, for sure. But best time of year, so very excited.
It is the best time of year, people. Enjoy football season. We love it. Sports by Compion. We're out for now.